The storm at the manor had intensified, and the wind was desperately trying to force its way through the old windows. The fireplace in the living room cast a faint light, the only source of illumination, yet not enough to reveal what was happening inside the manor. Edgar Bradford was spending his last evening of life that night. All the guests had gathered at his and his wife Evelyn's home to escape the drama they had recently experienced. These strangers to each other would all share one thing at the end of the evening: murder. Edgar was dead. Alayev spent the night carefully scrutinizing each suspect in the manor. Each one seemed like a puzzle piece, intertwining with the others.
No.
On their faces there were different expressions of fear, shame, and deep marks of past trauma. Evelyn Bradford. Evelyn was in deep shock after her husband's death. But there was something more, an anger mixed with the sorrow in her eyes. Her marriage to Edgar had been in a state of crisis for some time. Edgar had distanced himself from her several times and had affairs with other women. Everyone expected Evelyn to feel a sense of freedom after her husband's death. But could Evelyn have been looking for an opportunity to kill her husband after all the arguments? Charles Dawson, Charles Edgar's former business partner, had harbored a deep resentment for him for years. The unresolved business disputes between them had brought him to this point. Before being invited to the manor, Charles had explained that his proposals to Edgar had been rejected, and all his sacrifices had been in vain. It was clear that there was a reckoning awaiting that night. Charles had been agitated throughout the evening. He was so angry that everyone in the manor could feel he was on the verge of exploding. However, among the suspects, Charles seemed to lack the courage to actually kill Edgar. Was he trying to deceive someone? Lily Bennett? Lily, Evelyn's very close friend, had been making strange comments about Evelyn and Edgar's relationship in recent years. Lily constantly criticized Edgar and made arguments in support of Evelyn. She had an odd distance, as though she knew something. Still, there was no solid evidence to prove Lily's guilt, but there was a sense of hidden animosity. Samuel Green. Samuel, the butler, was usually the quiet figure who stayed in the background, not drawing much attention. But Alayev could feel a different aura around him. Samuel was different from the others in the manor. No one knew much about his past or why he was there that night. There was definitely something. Samuel knew something about Edgar's missing ring. Could he have killed Edgar to get the ring? Martha Hargrove. Martha, Edgar's former lover, was an odd attendee of the gathering. After Edgar's death, she tried to stay in the background. However, nothing escaped Alayev's keen eye. Martha felt a deep unease after her former lover's death. Every move she made seemed to deepen Alayev's suspicions. Martha had come to the event as a friend of Evelyn's, but there was clearly another purpose behind her presence. The shadows of the past were bound to reveal the truth at any moment. First suspicions. Alayev examined the rooms one by one. Edgar's body lay quietly in his room. The first thing he did was look over everything with great calm, but something was missing. The chair placed in the room was properly positioned. There was only a knife wound, but there were no other traces. The door had been locked. No one had entered. The ring whispered Alayev. The ring was a missing heirloom, a piece that Edgar had worn for years, but now it was gone. All the suspects were pieces of a puzzle. There was only one clue: the missing ring. Alayev slowly scrutinized the suspects around him. Evelyn's account of Charles's angry demeanor reflected his impatience. Lily's suspicious glances made it seem as though she was trying to hide something. Samuel, the quietest figure in the manor, was more alert than usual. But what made Samuel so silent? Alayev focused his eyes on each of the suspects. Evelyn, Edgar's wife, had been restless lately. She was in an emotional collapse, but there was also an ambition in her eyes. Could this ambition, born from anger and a dark past, have led her to kill her husband? She knew Edgar had neglected her in recent years and had been involved with other women. But did it take such intense anger to commit murder in Charles? The tension between him and Edgar was obvious. Edgar had constantly cornered him in their business dealings, never giving him a fair chance with his investments. Instead of solving their conflicts, they had only escalated them. However, was his anger enough to murder? But there was something else. Evelyn's and Charles's past, especially their family connections, seemed to suggest a suspicious link to Edgar's murder. But Alayev didn't want to draw that conclusion too early, could not afford to make a mistake. As the hours passed, Alayev gathered everyone together. The solution was slowly taking shape. There was a reason behind everything and everyone. Had Evelyn, despite showing her anger, sought an opportunity to kill her husband? Was Charles's anger from a business dispute strong enough to make him want to kill? And Samuel? The butler's actions had seemed odd. In fact, something unusual had been noticed in the manor. Alayev had seen Samuel secretly carrying an old key in his pocket. This key opened Edgar's private cabinet. Alayev immediately instructed that Samuel's room be searched. But Alayev saw Samuel secretly open an old box in his room. Inside, he found the missing ring. The ring was incredibly valuable, a family heirloom passed down through generations. Alayev believed that finding the ring meant solving the murder. The ring belonged to Samuel's family. Years ago, Edgar had stolen and hidden it. Had Samuel killed Edgar to get his revenge? Perhaps this ring was the symbol that validated his motive. Alayev examined the fingerprints on the ring. Everything was so clear that he couldn't think of anything else. He was certain Samuel was guilty. The manor's residents were once again gathered the next morning. Alayev walked toward them. The ring was in Samuel's hands. "I've solved the murder," Alayev said, taking a deep breath. "You're the killer, Samuel." But just then, something happened. Suddenly, Lily Bennett silently stood up and walked toward Alayev with a look that changed the atmosphere in the room. "No," she said, her voice deep and cold. "You've misunderstood, Detective." Alayev's eyes turned to her in shock. "Samuel isn't guilty," Lily said. "I'm the one who put the ring there. ... It was me." An eerie silence fell over the room. Alayev looked at Lily, then scanned the other suspects around him. Everyone was in shock. Lily took another step forward and added, "That ring has been part of my family for years. Evelyn and Edgar ruined my life over all these years. Edgar was my former lover, and when he married Evelyn, everything was lost. I wanted to take that ring back, but I couldn't tell anyone. Samuel was so careful that when he realized the ring was missing, he gave it to me to hide. I just forgot it there. I didn't kill Edgar, but I wanted revenge on him." At that moment, Alayev realized that he had misunderstood everything. The ring was not just an object, it was a symbol of painful memories from the past. Lily's anger stemmed not from a desire to kill, but from a wish to reclaim what had been taken from her. Samuel, having no deep connection to the situation, had simply been misunderstood. In the end, the murder had occurred for a different reason. Edgar had been haunted by his past, but Lily's desire to heal her wounds hadn't led to death. Everything had been set in motion by a misunderstood ring, but ultimately the true solution came to light. The storm subsided, and the manor's residents found a new sense of peace. Still, there was a question in everyone's eyes. Had everything truly been revealed?